Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan and this is Healing with JG. In September 2021, I was diagnosed with the incurable multisystemic inflammatory disease myalgic encephalomyelitis. When I was diagnosed, I'd never heard those two words before in my life. I struggled to find information or access to people who had made a full recovery. NHS doctors and hospital specialists gave me no answers to my questions, no known cause, no known cure, no known effective treatments. It was suggested that I accept my new life of symptoms as the new normal, to begin a course of opioid based pharmaceuticals to try to numb the pain, and that this would likely be for the rest of my life. I went from living a full active life with my wonderful partner. We saw friends often. I had a job that I loved, to barely being able to move or think and full of symptoms. When I was officially diagnosed, there were two things that I was desperate for: information and connection. I couldn't find an authentic recovery story or how anybody had recovered, and I knew nobody else with ME or CFS, and the scientific information was often too difficult for me to understand. I found that online forums or social groups were simply cycles of negativity, repetition, and suggestions of pharmaceuticals. I wasn't ready for this new set of symptoms to be the rest of my life, age 35. I was angry at the world, at the medical system, at acronyms, whilst full of symptoms, lying in bed for months continuously, often unable to even move or think clearly. I couldn't see friends, work, or even make it up the stairs, let alone leave the house. I began researching and reading. I read about different schools of medicine, such as Western modern allopathic medicine, Ayurveda, naturopathy, and traditional Chinese medicine. I read modern scientific research which suggests that there are behavioral environments and practices which can support inflammatory system, nervous system, and immune system regulation. I read modern scientific research about chronic inflammation, the nervous and immune systems, mitochondria, oxygenation and circulation, nutrition, fasting and the process of autophagy, the importance of gentle movements, breath and breath work, meditation, the power of our minds, how we choose to live, and what we choose to consume in modern Western society. What I learned blew my mind, so I began making some changes. I removed a whole heap of things from my life, added a few new things, and changed lots too. Over the following weeks, my body began responding in the most positive way. Symptoms began disappearing, consistent energy returned, and I was able to focus my thoughts in my mind, and sides of me that had been missing for more than a year returned. 14 months after my official diagnosis of myalgic encephalomyelitis, I made a full recovery. Today, more than 3 years later, I remain completely symptom-free, and I want to help others because I know firsthand how awful the invisible disease myalgic encephalomyelitis or chronic fatigue syndrome really is. Now, I want to say something very clearly. I'm not a doctor. I do not provide medical advice, sell miracle cures, or causes. And I'm not here to tell anyone what they must do to make a full recovery. I fully appreciate that everyone's experience with ME or CFS is completely unique, and people respond differently to different healing methods. I'm simply sharing what worked for me, a series of introductions to biological mechanisms that have been proven to support healing environments in the body. Because when I was at my worst, there were two things that I needed most: information and connection. And I'm delighted to announce that I have finally brought both to life. My book, My Healing Journey, is all of the information that I wish was presented to me when I was originally diagnosed. It shares everything I learned in a structured, gentle way. It's a series of introductions to the practices and the perspectives which literally gave me my life back, and the modern scientific research proving their effectiveness in stimulating systemic regulation. I share my very personal journey of living with myalgic encephalomyelitis and those biological mechanisms which instigated my full recovery. I also personally read my book in audio form for those who cannot physically read or hold a book because accessibility matters. I'm also delighted to announce that Healing with JG is now officially live. I created this community grounded in science, especially for people living with myalgic encephalomyelitis. It's a safe space for gentle learning of scientific fact, a place for calm, for positive connection, for guided, gentle practices, for inspiration, and a place where meaningful conversations can exist without fear of judgment or negativity. This space is completely advertisement free, so there are no annoying interruptions or surprises. If this resonates with you and you'd like to find out more information, head over to healingwithjg.com or simply click the link in my bio. In my next episode, I'll be talking about myalgic encephalomyelitis, the disease itself, and what it was like for me living with the disease and my specific symptoms. If you're looking for a fresh perspective and you'd like to follow this series, you already know how to connect. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you over at healingwithjg.com. Sending you lots of love and positive energy, and I hope that today is a good day.